All right, Tuesday night, Raj is in the house. The Krug Show brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. We're underway. We got a lot to get to. Let's get to it right here. All right, welcome to the Krug Show Tuesday night. Happy March the 25th. 8:20 West Coast, 11:20 East Coast. Hope everybody's having a great day. Welcome to the Krug Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. The best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Get some brisket chili. Tell them that Krug sent you. We're big fans of Pig and a Pickle. Check them out. We're also brought to you tonight by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California. Anthony Catania at 831-521-5264. And our spring training sponsors in the month of March. Thank you to Claw Daddy Arcades. Great arcades. They got 3 locations in SoCal, spots in Fresno and Modesto. They got a Bay Area location coming soon. Check them out on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades and find a location near you. They're a big proponent of family-friendly entertainment. And the show is also sponsored by LearnKeys Upskill Academy, an online learning platform designed to get you job ready in 6 months or less. And it's great. It absolutely is great. Huge fans of it, whether you're interested in IT, cybersecurity, marketing, or another high-demand field. They offer over 30 different certification programs to help you take that next step in your professional career. So these guys have been around. They're really, really good. They've been in business for 37 years. They've worked with over 200,000 students. They have over 100 graduates that they place in jobs every single month. So check them out. The links are in the description for all of our sponsors, and thanks to all of them for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. The last one there being LearnKeys Upskill Academy. All right, Raj, good to see you, man. Big Tuesday night. We always get together on Tuesday nights. And right before I was at my kid's game, I was checking my phone, and it came across Stefon Diggs is now a Patriot. I had gotten wind of this a few days ago that Diggs to the Pats was possible. He also is coming off an ACL, but he's a cheaper, healthier option for New England. $22 million APY for Diggs. If you're going the Aiyuk route, that was going to be closer to $27 million. It's just a cheaper, I want to say healthier, because who knows how healthy he'll be, but he's closer to being ready to go. Diggs to the Pats. What do you think of it today?
Yeah, no, I mean, if you look at the contract, $69 million with a lot of incentives if he reaches it all, which I don't think so. I think it's 26 guaranteed off the top of my head. So really, if they keep him for a year and they get rid of him, it's $26 million for a 1-year rental, depending on if they're able to walk out of the contract. So it's not the worst, but I mean, it really tells you that they really, really have been desperate for a wide receiver one to get for Drake May. You know, Diggs is a good veteran. He's 31, though, coming off a torn ACL. I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to have this amazing season, but he got a lot of money. I think he finessed them here. They're going to probably need to still drop the wide receiver. Their wide receiver room is bad. They desperately needed a wideout, and now you can see why they were trying to throw money at Aiyuk last year. But, you know, situation wasn't good last year. You weren't sure on Drake May. I'm sure the Niners were trying to, you know, maybe say, hey, take Brandon Aiyuk. You guys wanted him last year. But the money that Brandon Aiyuk's contract is just, it's bad. I don't know if anybody wants him. And the whole difference, because a lot of people are saying, oh, it looks like the Patriots chose Diggs over Aiyuk. I don't think that's the case. But if you want to say that, if you're trying to take Brandon Aiyuk, you have to pay him more, and you had to give up a draft pick. With Diggs, he's a free agent. You don't have to give up the draft pick. You pay him a little less. He's a veteran. And if you're going to compare the injuries, I don't like to, because it's 2 totally different injuries. Stefon Diggs tore his ACL, I think, like a week later from Brandon Aiyuk. Sorry, Stefon Diggs tore his ACL a week later from Brandon Aiyuk. But Brandon Aiyuk tore his ACL, tore his MCL, tore his meniscus. That's a rough one. He is younger, so he could probably recover pretty well. But that's such a tough injury to recover from. I've rehabbed people. Obviously, they're not world-class athletes like these guys. But it's a really, really, really hard rehab process. So, I don't know. I think the Niners are going to be stuck with Brandon Aiyuk.
What is interesting, Aiyuk's been part of a lot of the trade discussions this offseason for sure. Diana Rossini had a report today. She does not expect him to be traded. She says, I don't get the sense that it's a reality. I'm sure the 49ers would like to trade Brandon Aiyuk because of the finances. We'll see what happens. I don't expect anything. That's interesting because then if you read Matt Mayoko's latest piece on NBC Sports Bay Area, he kind of takes a totally different kind of sound. He basically says John Lynch is keeping his options open for the team as far as Brandon Aiyuk, and that Aiyuk is available for the right price. And then he quotes Lynch from the combine from a few weeks ago. You get calls and you always listen to calls. And Mayoko points out that if it's going to happen this offseason, it almost certainly is going to happen in the next week, because we all know Aiyuk is due a guaranteed option bonus of $22.8 million payable on April the 1st. And there, I think the speculation from a lot of people was that, one, would the Niners trade him at a lesser price? Well, there's no question, if you're considering trading him at all, you're obviously not going to get top price right now. But then the other question is there a team out there that would be willing to take a high-priced wide receiver with an unknown physical condition and give you anything for your efforts? Or would the Niners, Grant Cohn the other day was suggesting that the Niners, if they actually wanted to move Aiyuk, would maybe, would somehow they would have to throw picks at whatever team to get them to take Aiyuk. I said that sounds very NBA like. I don't think it's at that level, but I also don't believe that they're going to get day one or day two picks. And I do, I do think there's still a very good chance, that the 49ers move off of Aiyuk. I just think that I'm not saying that they're utilizing Diana Rossini or anything. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that it's just very convenient that 5 days before this deadline, all of a sudden one of the national writers writes a report that's like, doesn't look like the Niners are going to move him. Like, in other words, they don't have a deal done. If you want him, they're open for business. And we'll see. Will the Browns, the Browns have 4 6-round picks. The one thing we don't know, the ultimate question here, is we know that the Niners are not going to get fair value for Brandon Aiyuk. That's clear. But the other factor is how low are they willing to go? How motivated are the 49ers as an organization to recoup that Jed money? Are they so wanting to recoup that money that they're willing to almost hand over Aiyuk for not much? Are they so concerned about the injury, privately, that they may want to cut bait on this one and get down the road, even if they take a loss? That's the part we don't know. We don't know. We know, if somebody was, I don't think he's worth a day one or day two pick. And I do believe their price tag was probably, like a third or, a second or third round pick and a player. But as we get closer, Raj, to the draft, my guess is that the Niner price comes down and that somebody offers them a couple day 3 picks. And I think it's going to be super low, but I think they're also going to take it. And I think there's going to be a lot of upset people. That's just my prediction. Other people think that he's going to stay, but personally, I think they're so motivated to get off that cash that I think their price tag for him is potentially so low that they're willing to take. And I've guessed wrong before, but if I gotta guess one way or another, because we're all just guessing at this point, I'm guessing that they're really motivated to get Jed his money back, and that they're willing to take a serious loss on Aiyuk. And I think there's a deal to be had if you're in that scenario. So I think a deal still comes down.
Yeah, there's a lot to kind of digest on this situation, because it's not that simple. Because so a couple things. Obviously, the Rossini report came out today, but Rossini, she plays the fence. She kind of goes one way, and then she'll switch it up the next day. So sometimes I take her reports with a grain of salt, because a lot of it is smoke season. You got to remember, it's still the off season, Larry. A lot of people got things to write. There's people out there in New England. Obviously, that's done now. Cleveland, their beat writers, and Brandon Aiyuk to the Browns. I think the one team that probably still would take Brandon Aiyuk would probably be the Browns. They're the last team that really is desperate for a wide receiver. Patriots were a team, the Steelers were a team, but they've got a wide receiver now. So it really kind of pivots to the Browns. Are they that desperate again? And they do have draft picks. And I 100% agree with you on this, Larry, that there's no way you're getting a day 1 or 2 pick for Brandon Aiyuk. His value has shattered because his knee, we don't know if he's even going to come back at a high level or at any type of level. Like, it is a really tough injury. We hope he can if he comes back with the Niners. Then the other side of the coin is his guaranteed money. April 1st, next week, his money for this year guarantees was like 22.8 million or something that he's going to be guaranteed, and all the bonuses and stuff. So that's a big window. And I think that's why a lot of people are saying this is a critical week. If they want to trade him, this is the week. But if that passes and the 49ers still have to pay him, that makes the chances of them trading him a lot less, because they're like, dang, we still have to pay him. Then we got to trade him. So if they're trying to save money here, Larry, I think this is the week where they got to do it. So I think they have, like you said, looked into other teams and say, hey, look, we'll take whatever you can give us at this point, because they don't want to have to pay that money and save, the money, because they're in dead cap purgatory. Like, their dead cap is nasty. It's almost 90 million. So if you add Brandon Aiyuk, get rid of him, the dead cap rises, and they've been trying to save money this offseason. So that's a factor. I know Mayoko says another thing, but I'm not going to lie to you, Larry. All these reporters this offseason have been blowing so much smoke. Every person that Matt Mayoko said the 49ers were going to get an offseason, they didn't get a single one. So
well, look at it this way, Raj. Just look at it this way. I'm not arguing with you. I think everything you're saying makes sense. All I'm saying is, look at what John Lynch said to our friend Chase Sr.
Oh, no, and I get it.
And look how everything that he said since then has come true. Everything that he said. Hey, we're gonna, we gotta, we're gonna have to change our spending, and it's gonna, And then when the question came up for Aiyuk, instead of just being, hey man, that's our guy, he ain't going anywhere, it was like, yeah, we need to hit a reset, and he totally opened the window for the idea of moving on from him. I just think that if they didn't, and then Rossini's report is that the Niners would like to move him, but nobody's biting. Yeah, because they're asking, I think, for a second or a third round pick, for a player who normally probably would be worth that if he was healthy, but he's not. And I think it's a negotiation. I think they're asking for a lot, hoping to get a day 3 pick or 2. And I think you're going to see Cleveland with those 4 6-round picks go, you know what? We'll trade 2 6-round picks. We've got 4 6-round picks. We'll trade 2 6-round picks to the Niners for Aiyuk. And I think the Niners will be motivated so significantly by the amount of money they could save that they're willing to move down the road on this one. We'll see.
No, I agree. I agree with everything you said. I think they're 100% trying to. John Lynch made it clear. He said what he said, right, to Chase. We've seen the video so many times that they got posted it during free agency week. We've all heard what John has told us. It's no secret that they've tried to trade Brandon Aiyuk, but I just don't think they're going to find that part. I don't know. I think, again, Cleveland is the team that is desperate enough to pull the trigger. The Browns are a really weird franchise. They've made some bad trades. So if they get that desperate, they might pull the trigger. But I honestly, my prediction is they're going to keep Brandon Aiyuk this year. Not because they necessarily want to. I just don't think they're going to get the deal that they.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Isn't this ironic that Diana Rossini, on a day that Diana Rossini has the one national report on this, and her national report is that it's unlikely that Aiyuk will be traded. On the same day, Matt Mayoko, who covers the 49ers for NBC Sports Bay Area and is somewhat plugged into their thinking, the same day that her report comes out and says it's unlikely that Aiyuk gets traded, there's a headline on NBC Sports Bay Area that says, Aiyuk trade door open. I mean, it's crazy. That to me says they're open for biz, and she said it one way, he said it another way. All I would say is, don't look at that Diana Rossini report and go, see, Aiyuk ain't going anywhere.
I never look at her report. Yeah. When I post them, I'm like, oh man, am I really going to be posting this Rossini report? Because I'm like, a lot of times it's just, she's getting her, you got to give her credit. She's getting her name out there, whether she's right or not. But there's been times where she's hit the nail on the head. But a lot of times I'm just like, she's just fishing. But hey, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, Larry. no hate.
No, absolutely not. And she, I mean, I don't know her, but she seems to be she's entertaining. She does a good enough job. I like her fire. She's kind of fiery. She seems pretty knowledgeable. You know what I mean? It's I think there's, she's hardly like the world's worst reporter. I think she's pretty decent.
She's pretty good, actually. Yeah.
Okay, so what are you thinking at number 11, Raj? I mean, today is the 25th of March. The 26th of April, I think, is the draft. What are you thinking at 11?
Man, that's a good question. And you know what? Today kind of shook it up because Russell Wilson goes to the Giants. So that tells me that maybe one quarterback's going in the top. Is Shador not going to get drafted in the first 10 picks? So that might change on who's available for the 49ers. I think it's going to be a defensive. What's that?
Is it possible that it is that time?
What's that time? Oh, mock draft time.
Is it time for the first round mock draft?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's just take a look. Let's just take a look for the exercise since Raj is in the house. This is how quickly a mock draft can sprout up.
Boom.
Boom, like that. All of a sudden there's a mock draft. All right, so we're going to enter the draft. Niners are picking 11. We'll see who's on the board in this mock draft.
Let's go, baby.
First pick is Cam Ward. Ooh. The Niners are on the board. Forget these trades. I'm not even considering trades. We just want to take a look at who's on the board for the Niners. Okay, so
Will Campbell.
This is how the top 10 went in front of them. Cam Ward went to Tennessee. Abdul Carter went number 2 to Cleveland. I think that's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
Today, with Russell Wilson going to the New York Giants, I think the idea of a quarterback or the Giants in a trade up is probably nil. So the Giants probably going to stay there, plug and pick, and they'll probably take Hunter. I kind of agree with that. So Patriots at 4, they seem somewhat locked in now on Membu.
I think so.
So, yeah. I mean, that takes him off the board for the Niners because he would have been an absolute slam dunk at 11. Then, Will Johnson from Michigan, we can talk about him, but Mike Tannenbaum mocked the Will Johnson to the Niners. I will say this, I don't know how people feel about this stuff, but I personally feel like when it comes time to the draft, it's like there's so much. The biggest over discussed thing is our needs. It's not a glass of water in the desert. You know what I mean? It's not. There's a ton of undrafted guys. There's a ton of veteran guys. There'll be a ton of guys cutting camp. I mean, for a couple positions like left tackle and quarterback, where the talent is super rare, I get it. But for the rest of the positions, it's our needs. Take a great player. Nobody. Were the Niners desperately in need of a tight end the year they got George Kittle? Well, I don't know. They may have been. They may not have been. But what's more important is they got a great player. And if you get a great player, nobody's going to look back and be like, yeah, but he was only a corner. Oh, yeah, but he was only – that doesn't matter. You get an all-pro player, you're going to improve your football team. All right, back to the mock. Will Johnson going 5 to Jacksonville. Tyler Warren going 6 to the Raiders.
That's crazy.
Which is crazy. They can have Michael Mayer and Bowers and Tyler Warren. I mean, that would be so Raiders. If the Raiders drafted Tyler Warren, that would be so Raiders. They had Bowers and Warren and traded Michael Mayer. Mason Graham to the Jets at 7. A lot of people think Jackson Dart could be going to the Jets at 7.
Yeah.
Shamar Stewart, who is a freak of freaks when it comes to athletes, going 8 to Carolina. Shador going 9. So you got the quarterback going 9. That's good for the Niners.
Yeah.
Kelvin Banks going 10. Big offensive lineman. So the Niners here at 11. These is what they're choosing from. Will Campbell, Ashton Genty, Tet McMillan, the gigantic guard Tyler Booker, Jalen Walker, who's a stack backer. They list him as a linebacker. He is.
He's a beast, yeah.
Malachi Starks, 3 Georgia guys in a row. Walker, Starks, and Mikael Williams. Matthew Golden, the 4.28 wide receiver from Texas. James Pierce, Derek Harmon, Nick Emanwari, who maybe the greatest athlete who's ever played the safety position. He's so freaking amazing. Jedi Barron from Texas. You got some other guys. And then way down the list here, you got Walter Nolan at 32, and you got Kenneth Grant at 34, and Donovan Jackson at 36. And I think that Nolan, Grant, and Jackson are all primary Niner ideas for 11 or in a trade down. So This all being said, Raj, how would you play this here? I mean, would you go Will Campbell and the offensive lineman with the shorter arms? I think LSU's pro day might be coming up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do you go for the number one wide receiver, who a lot of people thought was going to go really high? You can get the number one running back if you're going to run the ball. You can go with the road grading Alabama guard, and I would say Booker is truly an awesome player. He's just a guard. Then you've got two of the premier playmakers in college football, in Jalen Walker and Malachi Starks. And I'm not a Mikael Williams guy, but I mean, you get the whole board's available, and you've got trade down offers. Let's see, man, 38, 69, 18, 50. I'd probably make that deal with Seattle, move down to 18, something like that. But what do you think, Raj? When you're looking at the board like this, how would you want the 49ers to play their hand?
Yeah.
There's Jihad Campbell. A lot of people feel like Jihad Campbell is a very safe pick, but Alabama's had some high profile busts. Egbuka's going to run his 40 this week. If he runs a blazing 40, that he could shoot up these charts. Luther Burden did not run at the Missouri Pro Day, so he's going to hang with his 4.41 or whatever he ran at the combine. He did not try to improve that.
It's a good question, Larry. So the chat says get a kicker, but I'm not going to get a kicker as much as the chat. They're telling me a kicker. Harmon's a safe pick. Walker's a safe pick. But, Larry, Brock Purdy got absolutely destroyed last year. They need to fix the offensive line. I would love to get Harmon. I would love to get,
here are the offensive tackles. Okay, here they are.
Will Campbell. I'm getting Will Campbell. If Will Campbell's available at 11, I pick 11. You get Will Campbell there. It's as simple as that. To me, he's the best player on the board. I'm getting Will Campbell. And he's your future. Campbell. He's your future anchor. Trent Williams will be gone. Will becomes your left tackle. This year, he'll play right tackle. You got Trent Williams. You got Will Campbell. It's as simple as that to me. If that's the board, I'm taking Will Campbell.
Let's just see who's on the board now with the Niners pick in the second round, just for the kicks of it. You went offensive line. Who's on the board? Who could they get in the second round?
Mike Green,
Marion Hampton, Mike Green, Benjamin Morrison.
Oh, could have got Conley.
Let's see further down the line here. Max Harrison's a pretty damn good corner. Isaiah Bond is an explosive receiver. Quinshon Judkins, Darius Alexander, Jalen Knoll, Travion Henderson, Emory Jones. There's some good players. Very interesting. Very interesting. We're not going to do the whole thing. That was it right there. But sometimes when we're talking draft, you just bust out the mock draft. There was talk today that the 49ers met with Arian Smith, the Georgia receiver. And this is one of the things that you put out. Did it get a lot of clicks, Raj?
Yeah, people were talking about it. This is what they said. All speed, you commented too. All speed, no hands. And I saw that. I was like, we'll talk about this tonight. He's a fast guy. He was their best receiver.
Really fast.
But he's got poor hands. And you said you don't want to draft a guy that's basically a track star. And I know, looking back at the 49ers draft history with wide receivers, they've tried this route with like the Danny Green, all speed, no hands. I think you're right. I think it's a guy that they may look at, but I hope they don't take him in. I mean, he's a day 3 pick, but there's better players on the board out there.
Yeah, I just, there's something about, there's something about the receivers that can't receive. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you got to catch. You know what I mean? You got to be able to catch. Yeah. And if you can't catch, that's bad.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I'm going to share the screen on this tweet. Steph Sanchez had an interesting tweet today about Jaden Blue, the Texas running back. She says Justin Reed, the former chief, on Texas running back Jaden Blue during the Pro Day broadcast. He says, I know one team that's going to love him, and that's San Francisco 49ers. He's exactly their type. So the one thing about Reed is he does cook. I mean, he's a burner. There's no question about that. Here, I'll share you. We'll see if we can. Here we go. Here he's getting the corner. Ooh. I mean, the one thing about the Niners, they do love running backs. The one trait of Shanahan running backs that he loves is just pure speed. He loves speed in his running backs. He loves guys who can hit the hole and are gone. And they also love guys who can block. That's why I kind of think Travion Henderson might be a great pick for the Niners. But this is another one right here, Jaden Blue.
What's his 40? I think you were telling me before we
I think it was
started.
4.36.
That's sick, dude. Wow.
Yeah. And you can see it. Look at the angles. Guys are just taking bad angles and they're just gone. Everybody's just like he's just gone.
Wow.
And so you got to be able to pick the hole. I mean, this guy just gets to the edge. Look at that.
Yeah.
Very explosive. So I
like
do think the 49ers will in the middle of this draft, and I don't know if middle, I should say. I think they go O-line or D-line in that first round. But when they get to that second round, second and third round, that day 2, I think they're going to probably go for a back. Maybe I'm wrong, but I could see a Travion Henderson, a Quinshon Judkins, somebody like this guy, RJ Harvey. I could see the Niners going for a back that they really like in the second or third round. They got 2 third-round picks.
You think third round? I think they'll go fourth round. I think they're really going to stack the trenches this year. I don't know. That's just the way I see it.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is there's some exceptional backs.
You're right.
So
you're right.
it's like kind of it's intriguing. I mean, Quinshon Judkins is 225 pounds and runs 4.48. The one thing the Niners also could really use, the one piece that they really did miss this year, not that they won a lot of games, but they missed the finishing back. Elijah Mitchell was a great finishing back, and I would love to see them get a back in the draft that they could finish games with, because it's hard to finish in the NFL. Yeah. It's hard to finish games out. We had a guy on today named Chandler Martin on the show, and this guy is a terrific prospect. Runs in the 4.5s. Didn't get invited to the combine, Raj, and then wound up testing with better numbers than other people who did get invited to the combine. So, nice. I mean, really, think about that for a second. I mean,
pretty good.
By the way, there's a 49er and NFL News 24/7 has a tweet that's caught my eye. It says, true or false, with a strong 2025 draft, the 49ers will win at least 10 games next year. True
Easily.
Or false?
They're going to win 10 games without a strong draft next year.
Really?
Honestly, yes.
You're that bullish?
His team's still good. Like, I don't know why people think that it's the end of the world. Okay, we had a bad season last year, but think about it. Half the team was injured. The guys that were injured last year, they're not on the team anymore. Mooney Ward's gone, Dre Greenlaw, great player. He didn't play but one game. Hufanga, he's gone. Towards ACL. Your backup tackle, Jalen Moore, not a loss. Okay, good for him. He's a starter now. Aaron Banks, replaceable. You lost a lot of depth players, maybe 1 or 2 starters. You still have Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, De'Amon Lenore, Renardo Green, Mustafa, Pooney, Kittle, Trent Williams. You still have a really strong core. CMC, Isaac Guerrero, Ricky Prasad, Juwan Jennings. You still have a hell of a good team. You're going to go get younger players. You fixed your whole special teams, which was terrible. You got better coordinators. You got a great defensive coordinator, and you have an easy schedule. They should win 10 games without even drafting anybody right now. That's the way I see it, Larry. People are overreacting on this offseason. Niners.
And that's optimistic, but I hear you. The schedule is a lot easier no matter how you slice it. I mean, and people say, well, it could change. Yeah, it could. You're right. It could, depending on the draft and how everybody does. But the schedule is very favorable. I think will have caught their breath. They'll have a faster, younger, hungrier team. Yeah. You know what we're going to find out this year is we're going to find out how good is Kyle Shanahan and his staff as coaches, because they're going to have to coach these guys up. They're going to have to, there's going to be some younger, faster, better athletes than the guys who walked out the door. I guarantee you, but they're going to be raw. They're going to be inexperienced. Do you make a ton of mistakes? And are you a second division team that can't get it out of their own way? Or can you coach these guys up real quickly and have them playing efficient football? I mentioned that we had Chandler Martin on today. I'm going to show you a little clip from him, and we'll talk a little bit about this guy. Really underrated player, I think. And he was on the Krueger show. I was asking him, this is a guy, and, he's not, the Niners are just one of 32 teams in the league. It's not like it's not like this guy plays for the Niners. This guy's just a draft prospect. He's a linebacker from Memphis. Here he is today on the Krueger show. How about Fred Warner, man? I do Niner pre and post. I would love to see you playing next to Fred Warner. Have you studied Fred Warner at all for the Niners? And did you have any did the Niners reach out? Have you had any connection at all with them?
Yeah, Fred Warner's a baller. I watched him a lot Just he's probably the most elite coverage backer in the league. Just really instinctual, takes command of the defense. Big fan of his game. I watched him in Greenlaw before Greenlaw got here, and then I watched D Winters as well. So I know about those Niners backers for sure.
I mean, the guy knows D Winters.
He knows ball.
That's pretty good. Get him
to the Niners. Like, get him in.
You like the idea?
I like him. That's a good interview. That's good stuff,
Yeah.
Larry. You the man.
Oh, I know.
Larry Krueger, ladies and gentlemen. This guy is the best on YouTube, man. I hope you win that bracket, by the way. You're the man. Larry Krueger's the man.
I don't know if I even won the first round. Did I get out of the first round?
I'm not in it, so I don't care.
Oh. Let me see if I can show you, though, a clip of this Chandler Martin, because you're going to love this player.
Let's see.
First of all, just give you an idea, Raj, what we're talking about with this player. He did not get invited to the combine, right? And then at his pro day at Memphis, he ran 4.55, and a lot of people think he's a high 4.4 guy that could run like 4.49. His shuttle was 4.22. Okay, his 3-cone was 6.85. Now, I know those numbers don't mean anything to the average person, but those numbers, that short shuttle, which is a 20-yard deal, which it tests your explosiveness and change of direction.
Yeah.
That short shuttle of 4.22 and that 3-cone of 6.85 would have been first among all linebackers at the combine this year. This guy also had a 37-inch vertical and a 10.6 broad jump. Okay, yeah. I bring these numbers up because those are all freaking amazing numbers if this guy sucked. But this guy is great. And I saw him in the bowl game against West Virginia. He had 17 tackles.
Wow.
17 tackles. I'm going to show you what we're talking about here with this player. I'm going to share the screen and show you a little video of Chandler Martin from Memphis. Here he is. Number 11. He wears number 11. Wore 10 in high school, decided to switch to number 11.
Ooh!
Yeah. He's 6 feet, 222, but he's just awesome.
Oh, man, look at the explosiveness. I think, unfortunate playing in Memphis, he doesn't get the publicity, but
look at the speed.
Look at that.
Backfield.
Look at that.
This guy's just a detonating missile.
Oh, wow.
Shooting gaps. He told me he loves to watch film. He's a film junkie.
I love it. I like this guy.
And he can cover. We talked about coverage. He's like, oh, yeah. Man.
Ooh,
He's got his hand on the ball right there. Here he is right here. You can see the athleticism. The athleticism is off the charts.
Good.
I watched Memphis in a couple games against Florida State. He was everywhere. This guy just makes play after play after play, and just ducking. He's just small, fast, but just amazing. Chandler Martin.
He looks good, Larry. And this is the thing. This shows you how deep this draft is with linebackers, and that's why they were okay with letting Dre Greenlaw go. And I know everybody's upset.
Right. This is why
I love Dre Greenlaw, but he was definitely a guy they could replace for a lot cheaper. You're going to get a guy that's going to be on a rookie contract for a couple of years. Dre Greenlaw got paid $35 million. And I'm so happy that Dre Greenlaw got paid. He deserves it. He deserves to get paid for a couple of years. He deserves to be a top linebacker on a team. And Niners are going to get a younger, hungry linebacker. And that's what they're doing at every position. Now, I get it. These guys have to prove themselves. They got to earn it. But going back to what I said earlier about winning 10 games, the schedule is that easy. I know a lot of teams improve, but you mean to tell me you don't think that we're going to be the Saints, the Panthers, the Giants, the Browns? There's such a handful of games that if the 49ers mess this up and they don't win at least 8 games because of this, how easy the schedule is, and then you maybe find 4 other games you can win that are, against better opponents, your NFC West division. Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch got to be fired, because if they cannot win 10 games with this easy schedule, Larry, there's got to be the seat has to be very hot, because this schedule right now, just looking at it, without drafting anybody, they should be able to win the games. I mean, come on, man. You mean to tell me you think you're going to lose to the Browns, the Giants, Russell Wilson scare you? Come
on. Yeah. I mean, come on. Seriously. Who are we kidding? I'm going to share the screen on this one. All right. Ian Rappaport had this one today. With Joey Sly signed by the Titans, it means that the Tennessee Titans are officially moving on from their 40-year-old kicker, Nick Folk. Nick Folk hit 50 of 52 field goals over the last 2 years with the Tennessee Titans, including Raj, 11 of 12 from 50 plus. He led the NFL in field goal percentage in each of the last 2 years. Raj, I want the, sorry, Jake, but it's time for the 49ers to not even have a competition. Just go sign a veteran like this. This is a gift. Titans are saying goodbye to a 40-year-old kicker. Go with the 40-year-old kicker. I mean, I don't care if Jake Moody resuscitates his career. I don't think the fan base here can. I just don't think it's. I go with Nick Folk. Give me the 40-year-old kicker who's made 50 of the last 52 and 11 of 12 from 50 plus. When Nick Folk's kicking, I don't even want him to see that he's wearing a Niner uniform. I don't, because the bad special teams history may rub off on him. But I mean, what do you think? Are you with me that, it's time to go with the tried and true veteran like they had in Robbie Gold and not mess around trying to develop your kicker for the next decade? Let's stay super short term on the kicker. I don't know, for like the next 25 years. What do you think?
Yeah, do it, Larry. If they sign, if they can sign this guy, if they can sign Nick Folk, he's a great kicker throughout his career. The Niner fans, 49ers Twitter, they've been, a little upset. They haven't signed a splash guy, whatever. And it's not the offseason they've been hoping for, right? If the 49ers were to get rid of Jake Moody and sign Nick Folk right now, this would be the happiest. This would be monumental. And honestly, I think that needs to happen. We saw Jake Moody cost this team so many games mentally. I don't know if he has it anymore. You got a new special teams coordinator. This is for him. If he came in and just said, okay, we got to move away from the kicker. We love you, Jake. You're a good guy. Go figure it out somewhere else. And they did. I mean, oh man, the community would come together. Grant Cohn and Dave Lombardi would be holding hands and singing Kumbaya. Everybody would be so happy, Larry. I'm telling you, this is a move that everybody would be so happy about. And I'm telling you, that kicker, Jake Moody, is going to get dogged if they keep him on this roster and he misses more kicks. You got to get him out there because mentally, I don't know how much more he can take. The Niners, Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, have to take the L on this one and just say, yep, we made a mistake, and never, ever draft kicker in the NFL draft. Don't do it again. Jake Moody's got so much pressure on his shoulders. This would be monumental. And I think every Niner fan would be so happy because right now they really did a good job with special teams. They got rid of the long snapper, Larry. They got rid of the long snapper. Why can't they get rid of the kicker? I'm down with it. I agree with you, Larry. Do it.
Yeah, I mean, come on. What can I say? As far as we're getting within a month of the NFL draft, and now this is when teams start to hone in. They start to hone in on who they like. And as a football fan, you start to hone in with all the rumors that are out there, what's real and what's bogus, and to me, most of it's bogus, but some of it's real. And the guy who I think that is most on it is Tony Pauline. He's already told us that the Niners have interest in Jeffrey Bassa, the Oregon linebacker. He told us they had interest in Olufemi Oladejo, the defensive end from UCLA. And remember that. Well, Tony, in his latest article, says the 49ers are showing interest in Za Frazier. And I'm going to share the screen on this guy's 40 from the combine. This guy is electric. He's kind of like a Tariq Woolen type. Super long and athletic. He ran 4.39.
Look at those legs, man. That's a gazelle.
Look at this guy.
Look at those legs, man.
Press man corner ran 4.39.
Oh, need him. Need it.
That's Scoot right there, man. That's really moving.
Fast.
And they're saying he's like a 5th round corner, a 5th round corner who's going to run in the 4.3s. Press man corner who can play man coverage. That's what they need. They need some speed. They need some speed across this football team, and corners one area as well. Anyway, just another name to keep track of as we get closer to the draft. Za Frazier. And they say, elite ball skills, really good tackler, solid recognition of routes. You're talking about a guy who ran 4.36 at 6'2", I mean, he had
Ah.
six interceptions last year, and they're comparing him to Tariq Woolen because they both played at Texas San Antonio. So,
Like that's a good comparison. Tariq Woolen's a good player. He's got the speed. He's got the the length. He looks like a guy that might go late round, maybe undrafted. The guy to keep an eye on. Tony Pauline is definitely locked in. He makes a lot of good predictions. I've posted a few and pretty much come to fruition a lot of the times. He's made some good assessments over the years. So if he says it, keep an eye on the guy. Yeah.
You can take it to the bank. You can absolutely take it to the bank. What would you say is the best move of the offseason thus far for the Niners?
Hiring Robert Salah as the defense coordinator. I know they've honest to me that's it. They had to fix this coaching staff. They hired him. They got Brant Boyer to follow up and be the special teams coordinator, and he basically completely fixed this entire special teams. On paper, right now, it looks like they did. I mean, they got to play the games first. But to me, bringing in Robert Salah was the best thing they could. Because I mean, me and you have saw. We've talked so much about Nick Sorensen throughout the season. Like that was the point of a lot of our conversations, and they got rid of him. They said, "Okay, you're not the guy. We made a mistake." And I think everybody is so excited in that coaching staff to get Robert back. He's a head coach caliber guy. You bring him in. I know Warner's going to be hyped up. I think everybody's going to be excited. Nick Bosa. And once they get these younger guys and everything going, I think we're going to see just how much of an impact Robert Salah can have on this team. So to me, it wasn't a player. To me, it was bringing in Robert Salah as the defense coordinator. I think hands down, that was the biggest move that they did this offseason so far.
It'll be interesting to see too what kind of impact he has. You got to think, Raj, that as they rebuild this defense, they're probably going to give him a huge say on draft day over who he wants. Right. One of the things that somebody who's kind of privy to the thinking of how Robert Saleh may be thinking. Somebody suggested to me the other day that look for the Niners to maybe make a deal with the Eagles on draft day for Bryce Huff, who was so good with the Jets, so bad with the Eagles, so bad, in fact, that they didn't even make him active on Super Bowl Sunday. And there's a lot of talk that he's going to be dealt. And he was great under Robert Saleh with the Jets. And if you could take a guy like, let's just say they wind up moving an Aiyuk and they get, multiple 6th or 7th round picks, you might be able to flip one of those picks to the Eagles for Bryce Huff. And Bryce Huff, if he could rekindle what he had a couple of years ago with the Jets, that could give the 49ers defensive front a lot more teeth. And, that's another way to use your draft capital without having just 15 rookies on the team. You trade maybe a 7th round pick for a guy like Bryce Huff. What do you think of the idea?
Yeah, not bad. You give him a guy, you pair Salah with the guy that he's had really good success. It makes sense. I think that was what a lot of people thought were going to happen in free agency. They thought he was going to get some of his players like DJ Reed and, et cetera, et cetera. So definitely if they can get a Robert Saleh guy on this team, it would definitely help. I think getting guys that he's familiar with that can have an impact would be great. And I just don't know if they do business with the Eagles. I don't know if the Eagles would do business with the Niners to help them improve, but the Eagles are about wheeling and dealing in the draft and making, savvy decisions. So sometimes it doesn't matter if they got to deal with, a potential nemesis. But I don't know how the 49ers would. I don't know. I don't still see Howie and John Lynch breaking bread and making a trade together to benefit each other. But crazier things have happened, Larry. Crazier things have happened.
Do you know Steve Palazzolo from PFF?
Yeah, I've seen him tweeting before. Yeah, I've seen him on Twitter a lot. Or X.
He has his mock draft. We'll finish with this. He has his mock draft out. We're gonna go a little shorter tonight. I'm gonna do some videos before I get out of here tonight. But I'm gonna share the screen on this one. This is Palazzolo's mock, and it's a pretty good one. Wait a second. No, that's not it. Here it is. Here we go. And there we go. He's got Cam Ward going 1, Travis Hunter 2, Tet McMillan 3, Abdul Carter 4, Will Campbell 5, Mason Graham 6, Ashton Genty 7, James Pierce 8, Jedi Barron going 9, Will Johnson going 10, and the Niners taking Tyler Warren with Membu, Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolan, all sitting right there. Kelvin Banks. He has the Niners going with Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State. What do you think? What do you think of that concept? It seems like Tyler Warren, a great tight end in every draft is kind of like your wild card.
Yeah.
And it's really amazing. I mean, if you think about it, who's the Chiefs have been on top? Who's their guy? It's Kelsey. The Niners were the team that they beat in 2 of those Super Bowls. Who's their guy? Kittle. It's like a great tight end does mean an awful lot, but they aren't valued necessarily come draft time. What would you think of the Niners taking a tight end with the 11th pick overall?
I mean, Tyler Warren's a hell of a player, and I think he's going to be a great pro. I think he's going to be one of the best. Like, he has potential to be top 5 tight end in the league. Like, he has that. But to me, the 49ers drafting a tight end on their first pick with this season, the way it ended, with the way they need to build their trenches, D-line, O-line, I just don't think it'd be smart. I don't think they have the luxury of doing it. If they were, stacked and their team was set and they didn't have a lot of, holes to fill, they can afford a luxury pick. But right now, they just can't go in and get that Mercedes-Benz, that, Rolls Royce. They can't. Right now, they got to build the trenches. They got to stick to, the basics. If they can't protect Purdy, it's going to be a long season. If they can't get to the quarterback, it's going to be a long season. Nick Bosa is going to be out there playing with Jordan Elliott and Yetur Gross-Matos right now starting if the season started today. That's not going to be too scary. So they need to fix the trenches. I love Tyler Warren. I think he's a fantastic player. But we've seen a lot of hyped up tight ends in the years past. I'll give you one name, Kyle Pitts. This guy was supposed to be generational tight end. Now, I'm not saying Tyler Warren's going to be bad, Larry. I think he could be a fantastic player. But don't overvalue a player like this because Kyle Pitts was supposed to be the greatest tight end, and we're still waiting for him to become the greatest tight end, Larry.
I know. No, it's true. It's true. And this is a very deep tight end draft as well. So you might be able to, wind up with a very, very good tight end that's, late in the draft and use that first round pick on another position. So it sounds like to me, Raj, you're leaning towards O-line over D-line at 11, huh? So if it came down to you're sitting on the board there and there's Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant, and Membu, you'd like to go Membu, huh?
I think Membu is probably going to be the best out of them, but I don't know. It all depends on how they fit into the scheme. Kyle Shanahan's got the zone blocking scheme, so I think he would fit in the most. He's just big, athletic guy, and we kind of also need a guy that could be a mauler, and I think he could do both. I like Membu, just his measurables and what he's kind of done over the last couple of months to really improve his stock. I mean, there's people thinking he's gonna be top 5 pick. So if you could get a guy that's potentially a top 5 pick at 11, it's a no-brainer to me. But I mean, I'd be happy with any of them. I would be happy with defensive tackle too. I just think the 49ers really, really need to stack the trenches because if they take a D-line first pick, they can get Josh Connerly in round 2, who they've really been, tied to in the pre-draft combine meetings and everything. So there are options. The Niners can get both in the first 2 rounds, and I think they really are trying to make the best decision because they're going to have their top 30 visits in the next couple of weeks. We'll kind of really sift out who they're getting, but I think their first 2 picks, Larry, is going to be D-line and O-line. If it's not, I'll be shocked.
Let's hit some supers here. Joseph Ehrenberg, name a wide receiver room that's worse than the Niners.
Patriots.
The thing about it is you're right, but never overreact, at this time of the year. Now, if it's May 25th, let's talk. At this time of the year, there's all kinds of ability to improve that situation. Faithfully Niner, Mr. Multiplicity, a.k.a. Jedi Barron, can play nickel, safety, cornerback, pick 11, done. If not, move 3 to 5 slots down and scoop up Campbell in a snap. Why is Campbell's first name escaping me? What's Campbell's first name?
Jihad Campbell.
Jihad, that's right. Jihad Campbell. I love Barron. Here's the thing. And I said this before, but really what's going to get you back on top the fastest? I mean, this is not like, earth shattering, but it's not filling needs. It's getting great players. Like if all of a sudden you drafted, the 86 draft was a great draft for the Niners. Why? Because they had, 6 starters or 8 starters. Yeah, but the real reason it was a great draft is that Charles Haley was a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Right. That's why, because Charles Haley became a Hall of Famer. So if you can find greatness trumps everything else. So I kind of like the idea of Jedi Barron or Will Johnson, just because I do believe they're great at what they do. And I get no problem starting. I think they need a corner. So I get no problem starting with a corner, especially if they traded back a couple spots. Because I do believe Barron's great. And I do believe Will Johnson's pretty great if he's healthy. So to me, it's more about that's like why the Lions, because they keep drafting, Jahmyr Gibbs and Penei Sewell and Brian Branch, and they've got all these really, really good young players. That's what the Niners need to do more so than like I'd rather have a great Hall of Fame corner than a good, solid starter at left tackle. Even though the Niners need a tackle, I know the Niners need a tackle, but McGlinchey was a good, solid starter for a few years at tackle. I don't want a McGlinchey. Yeah. I want somebody who's great, because I think you win championships with great players.
Yeah, if they get some superstars in this draft, I think it'll set them up for years to go. So
no question.
Good point. Yeah.
Ernberg, Niners going to win 7 games and lose most starters. I love the positivity. And Joseph Ernberg. Let me finish that one off as well. Niners going to win 7 games and lose most starters, and a gigantic blimp will hit the stadium and kill most of the fan base.
Don't say that. Jesus, Larry, that come on, don't put that in the atmosphere. What if I'm in that game when the blimp hits? I'm not putting that one in.
I'm just saying that's the kind of negativity that I expect from Ernberg. You know what I mean?
Larry. This guy.
Niners are going to win 7 games and lose most starters, and a gigantic sinkhole is going to swallow the stadium in the middle of the 4th quarter of the NFC Championship game, and everybody's going to perish, sinking to the center of the earth.
Unbelievable.
Because of a sinkhole that will swallow up the entire stadium. It'll be the biggest moment in American sports history.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it's like
and I'm going to be there for it.
Ernberg's negativity knows no bounds. I'm just trying to show that I can be more negative.
You definitely can.
Yeah, there you go. Boxing fan times 4, not including the NFC West next season. Opponents have improved or closest to spoil the easy schedule, not including the NFC West. What next season opponents have improved? Do you have the opponents?
Let me pull it up real quick. Yeah.
Because the schedule, of course, is not out. The schedule doesn't come out till May. I was listening to somebody the other day going, should we break down the schedule? And I was like thinking to myself, hey, bozos, you don't even have a schedule.
Okay. You ready? Okay, so
nothing says I'm dialed out more than debating whether you should check the schedule on March 25th.
Yeah, come on. Here's your teams. Okay, so home games. Obviously, we're going to play the NFC West: Cardinals, Rams, Seahawks. Okay, outside of them, you got the Falcons. I mean, they slightly improved. Okay, you can still beat the Falcons. Okay, you got Carolina Panthers. Come on.
No,
they've improved a little bit, but it's still the Carolina
Fire.
Yeah, okay. The Jacksonville Jaguars. They've improved a little bit, but we're not losing.
They got rid of Trent Baalke. That's how they improved in Jacksonville. Shad Khan said, hey, Trent, there's the door. Take both your ACLs and beat it.
There you go. And then you got the Tennessee Titans. We want to talk about the worst wide receiver group in the NFL. I can't name a Tennessee Titan wide receiver. I can't do it. Can you?
Is Treylon Burks still there?
He might be.
He might be.
And then the Chicago Bears, they're overrated.
Oh my God.
That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, maybe you lose. Well, that's 4 wins right there at home. Okay. Yeah. And not including the NFC West games. And then on away, Cardinals, Rams, Seahawks. Obviously, we know that. Okay, here we go. Away games. Cleveland Browns. Okay.
Win.
That's a win. Texans, that's a tough team. That's a good game. Good team. Okay. Texans, you could lose that game. Colts, they're
win.
That's a win. New Orleans Saints.
Win.
The Giants.
That's a for sure win.
And then the Buccaneers are a good team. That might be a loss. But I mean, do you see what I'm saying?
Eddie D will be in the house. Will be a win.
1, 2, 3, 4, at least 8 to 9 games. If you lose those games, Larry, go put your damn coach and your GM on the hot seat.
Yeah. Oh, seriously. I mean, the next head coach of the Niners could be Claudaddy Arcades at that point.
Might be.
Claudaddy's in the house. What's up, Claudaddy's? His friends, Romans, Kruegermans, Lend, like, and subscribe. Great show, fellas. Thank you, Claudette. And we told you Claudette is our sponsor in the month of March, and it's been great to have him. He's got Claudette Arcades, Raj. I don't know if you knew that. Claudette, he's got 3 locations down in SoCal, plus Fresno and Modesto. He's got a location coming in the Bay. Claudette Arcades, bringing family-friendly entertainment to the Bay. So follow him on Instagram, at Claw_Daddy_Arcades, and find a location near you. And who doesn't love a good arcade? What was your favorite arcade game?
Oh,
as a
man.
kid?
Well, there was
This
so
game.
many.
I don't know what game it was, but it was a game where you could you could shoot. You were like shooting guys, and the screen was coming at you. And then
Contra?
I know, but you could then get into tanks and then drive.
Oh, God.
And then you could get out of the tank and start shooting. You get back in the tank, and
I think I know
forget what game it was. It was at a pizza place chain that was near me as a kid, and we used to play that game on Friday nights. I love that game.
I know. It's like Beast something. I know what you're talking about. My favorite arcade game, though, there's so many. I got it. It's hard to narrow it down, but one of my favorite.
Are you going old school?
Yeah, of course, I'm old school. One of my favorites of all time, though, has to be Street Fighter. Street Fighter 2, man. You go in to any arcade, there was a line. You had to put your quarter on the, your quarter on the thing to hold your spot, and it was like people were lined up. Street Fighter, that was it. Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li, like that game in my generation was probably one of the best arcade experience of all. Like people would be lined up all day, and then some guy would have a streak, and you're trying to take him down, and you take him down, and it was like, oh my god, he just beat the dude with like 12 straight. Street Fighter 2 was the game. I
used to love the NBA 2K game. That game was amazing.
Yeah,
I used to love the what's that other game that it was fantastic. It was the one that was really popular as a kid. Everybody loved Defender.
Defender, yeah.
Defender was a big one.
My sister, sorry.
But yeah, I mean, there's who doesn't? Our arcade games are the best. I mean, come on. You got a pocket full of quarters.
Yeah.
How about the motorcycle games? Some of the driving games are kind of fun.
You got Mario Kart. Yeah, NBA. The NBA, like NBA Jam. Those games. Oh, there were so many games. Man,
now, what's that thing with the hatchet? My kids always do. Kids always hatcheting everything.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. They're going from room to room, and it's just hatcheting.
When we go to the arcade now, she likes to play the old games. So we don't even play she'll play Pac-Man
or something.
Yeah, we'll play Pac-Man over some of these newer games. Although
Frogger, remember Frogger?
That was a good one. I'm a sucker for the basketball, the little arcade basketball. I love arcade basketball.
What about like if you're going to Santa Cruz and try to play those not the arcade games, but the ones that are all rigged, like basketball, where the basketball barely fits through the rim?
I used to work at the Midway games. I used to work at a Midway back in the day. Circus. One of the first actual jobs when I didn't work for my family's business and stuff. So I worked at the Circus, and I was like the Midway leader. And those games, I tell you, they're so rigged. Like the little circle on the Coke can. You have to have like the most perfect trajectory because it's basically the same size. Like those games are all rigged. The basketball is the same size as the hoop. It's like it's all rigged, man. And then the little ball toss into the basket, but I perfected all.
Yeah, I used to throw. That one I could make it happen because you got to hit the top and make it go down.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So you got.
There's a certain way to win those games. Like you have to throw them all a certain It's all physics. It's
all
really
angles
at a certain angle. Yeah, it's
basketball. I mean, Steph Curry couldn't hit those shots.
He couldn't. There's a video of him. And he missed, and I was like, "Oh, everybody's like, oh, even Steph can't hit it." I remember that.
Yeah, exactly. If Steph can't hit from 8 feet away, it's probably a little too tough. A little too tough. Raj, we got the draft coming up, man. It's gonna be epic. It's gonna be epic. What are you gonna be doing for the draft?
I don't know. Everybody wants me to go to this party, that party. I might just stay. I mean, because I got to post and do all that stuff. So I'm honestly probably just gonna stay home and stream and watch and stuff like that. But we'll see. There's a lot of draft parties that I might go to, but I think I'm just stay home and cover it because it's gonna be a big draft for us this year, Larry. It's a big draft.
Oh, I mean, let me ask you this because you're around the team, your sense of it's pretty good. Is Lynch feeling the pressure?
I think he has
because that whole there's this thing called the draft.
Yeah,
that seemed a little. I don't know. it was a little snarky,
I
and
think
it's a
there's
little
part
like,
of it's pressure,
it's
Larry.
like, wait a second, for a team that has backed themselves into a corner
Mhm.
where they need the greatest draft in franchise history to be a Super Bowl contender this year, and they're gonna, I mean, it's like I don't know that I would have taken that tact. I would have been like, hey, look, this is a daunting task, but we really believe in our personnel department. We're going to try to see if we can get more picks, and we're going to take a bunch of bites at the apple, and we think that we can build this thing up. We really believe that this is the draft we can do. I mean, something, not just like, hey, there's this thing called the draft, like, hey, you peons, we've done this before. It's like, no, you've missed 20 times in the first 3 rounds. I mean, that if we're going to be totally, let's lay our cards out on the table, that's the truth. They missed 20 times in the first 3 rounds. I love John. I love Kyle. I'm not advocating to get rid of the regime, but that's why they're partially where they're at. They've lost a lot of their depth because of the drafting mistakes. We can all name them: Drake Jackson, Ty Davis Price, Danny Gray, Jalen Hurd, you name it, Joe Williams, CJ Beathard. They've missed 20 times in the first 3 rounds. It's caught up to them. They had a great draft last year, but it still wasn't enough. They need a solid 10-player draft where they get 6 starters and 10 regulars. And if it happens, they could be right there in the mix in the NFC, but that's a big if, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure. You're absolutely right. I mean, you won 6 games last year, Larry. You're supposed to be a Super Bowl contender. Everybody thought you were going back to the, promised land. You lost Super Bowl. Okay, let's rinse and let's wash it off and make it to the Super Bowl. And they didn't get anywhere close. They won 6 games, and your offseason has not really been too hot for everybody. The media is ripping you apart. You lost a lot of players. Now, granted, I said I don't really think they lost anybody, and they're taking this approach that the Rams have done, that the Bills have done, and they hit. But you're right, Larry. The 49ers draft history does not bode well, especially in the positions that they need a hit in. Defensive line has been absolutely terrible outside of Nick Bosa and DJ Jones. DJ Jones isn't on this team anymore. So they got to hit on that D-line. And offensive line, pretty much the same thing. They haven't really hit other than Dominic Pooney. Maybe you can say Aaron Banks, but he's not on the team anymore. So really, this has to be a legacy draft. So yeah, I think John Lynch is feeling the pressure in terms of he knows he has to hit. And I think he's getting tired of everybody ripping the team apart and ripping the free agency or the lack of free agency apart. So he said, yeah, we got a plan, and y'all forgetting about the draft. But with him saying that, Larry, he better deliver, because if he doesn't deliver, Larry, he's going to be talking on NFL on Fox next year.
Yeah, seriously. You talk a game and you deliver, you're cool. You don't. You talk a big game and you don't deliver, you're Debo. You're Debo. You're Debo against the Rams. I ain't struggling. I'm just not getting the ball enough.
Bro, it's struggling.
Bro, you're struggling. You're struggling. Life has a way of calling your bluff, and I'll be interested to see, because if the Niners are successful in moving Aiyuk, and it probably will be for day 3 picks, they're going to have 15 picks. At that point. And if they wind up with 15 picks, John Lynch is going to have a huge impact in their success or failure. And if he can build this thing up in the draft, he's going to be a made man, and they're going to probably compete for Super Bowls. And if he can't, he's going to be an ex-GM, and they're going to have some other GM.
Yeah. This is a big season, Larry, and the Super Bowl is in your stadium this year. And I think every Niner fan expects the Niners to be there this year. If you're serious this year and you want to be, you got to make it to the Super Bowl this year. If you can't, there's going to be a lot of upset people. I mean, if we don't win the Super Bowl or whatever, that's not the end all, but you have to at least get to the playoffs to have a chance. And if you can't do that with what we said, the schedule this year, and, you told us this is your plan, and if your plan doesn't go well, then it's gonna be an interesting season. Although I think that it's gonna go well. I think they're gonna have a good season. But this is a very, very monumental draft. This is this is the biggest draft, the most important draft in the Lynch and Shanahan era of all of them. This is it.
No doubt. It's huge. I mean, they're in a gotta have it moment. And I get, Kevin and I were talking about this the other day. Just final thought. I keep saying that, but this is the final thought before we get out of here. Are you surprised that they authored this kind of tear down, restructure in a year where they're hosting Super Bowl 60? Considering they have made a consistent run at the Super Bowl, as consistent as almost any team in pro football over the last 7 or 8 years since Shanahan and Lynch have shown up, since 2019, they've been pretty much in the Super Bowl mix. Are you surprised that they're tearing it down in a year where everybody's going to be here at the end of the year? Everybody's going to be, noticing everything about this, and whether the 49, if the Niners are in it, they'll be hailed as geniuses. If the Niners are not in it, it could be a source of embarrassment. If the Niners have a 5-win season, it could be a source of tremendous embarrassment. How are you surprised that Jed had them tear the thing down this year?
I'm not surprised because they won 6 games last year. And I think after you had a season like that, especially after coming off a Super Bowl and numerous NFC championships, playoffs, after all that success, you had all that wave of success, and it honestly never ended with the ultimate prize, the Super Bowl. So everything you've done it ended up to nothing. So whatever you guys were doing wasn't working. We need to go and reset, recalibrate. You got to clear the books. Again, we talked about the loss, or the schedule next year. If there's any season where you can kind of recalibrate, retool a little bit, and still have a chance to make playoffs, this is the season. So it wasn't too surprising to me, but you're right. There's a lot that's riding on it, because if you go and win 5 games this year, you're going to look like a very big embarrassment. So that's why I think it's surprising to some, because the Super Bowl is here this year and you're like, oh my God, what are you doing? But if you look at the money they spent over the last few off seasons, because they were the highest spending team. John Lynch talked about how all the cash they were spending, like I think $300 and something million that other teams have signed 49ers.
$341 million. Yeah.
It's a lot. Like the Niners were spending money and they got great players out of it, but they couldn't keep sustaining it, Larry. And I think they realized, got to get younger at some point. This was the year to do it. But also, look at the contracts. They gave money out to like Hargrave. They gave money out to anybody they wanted. They were just throwing money. They were spending willy-nilly. And it's because they had cheap quarterback contracts. And now the change is you're going to have to pay your quarterback. And it changes things like that. And I think the fact that now they're realizing, we got to pay Brock Purdy, $50 million, probably $50 million, whatever he's going to get paid. It changes a lot. And Parsons tweeted a couple weeks ago, I know it didn't hit right because it came from Parsons, but he was right. Now the Niners have to pay a rookie quarterback, and now we have to live with the reality of it. It's like, dang, dude, you're going to lose.
Somebody should tell him to shut the fuck up.
He should.
You lost head-to-head to the 49ers.
Yeah,
you haven't beaten the 49ers head-to-head. You're a member of the Dallas Cowboys. Your team's garbage.
But coming from Parsons,
I would not exactly run my mouth if I was Micah Parsons.
I get it. Coming from him, he's the last guy that you need to say. But his message was right. Like the Niners now have the reality of paying a quarterback.
No, I mean, it's true.
It's a big thing.
It's
but
new world order. New world order.
You also got to realize, Larry, they were paying guys like Hargrave, who wasn't even on the field because he was hurt. He stole money from them. They got to stop paying guys that are stealing money from them. And I think the 49ers are like, you know what? This year we're not paying a bunch of guys that are going to be overpriced and not play. They got a bunch of football guys this offseason, like a lot of no names, no frills guys. They got special teamers. Again, those guys aren't big names, but they got guys that are hungry to play and try to contribute and win a game. And sometimes that's dangerous. When you get a bunch of guys that are just there to play and win and have fun, it's going to be a good combination. But as you said, Larry, the pressure, it's on them. It's on them.
It's time. Is there this thing called the draft? Yeah, there's this thing called the draft. And I suggest you guys, you may want to bone up. You may want to bone up on this one because this is probably the draft of your life. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Thanks to our friends at Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. Thanks to Claw Daddy Arcades on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades. Find a location near you. And thanks, of course, last but certainly not least, Learn Keys Upskill Academy, online learning platform designed to get you job ready in 6 months or less. We've got links in the description for all of our sponsors. Click and check on that and support our sponsors as best you can. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krueger Show. having a great time. Tomorrow on the show. Oh, tomorrow, what are we gonna do tomorrow? We're gonna do a mock draft, I think, tomorrow. We're also gonna do a Niners Nightly with Ryan Fowler. So check Ryan Fowler tomorrow night on KMBR. So that'll be interesting from the Draft Network. We'll get his thoughts on what the draft is looking like from Ryan Fowler, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the guys like Zoff Frazier, like Olufemi Oladejo, and what Fowler's hearing about their connection to the 49ers. So that's going to do it for us. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to all of you guys. Thanks to the people in the supers and all that as well. Raj, what do you got cooking the rest of the night?
Tonight I'm going to bed soon. It's getting late, man.
Seriously, it's 9:30. It's time for us to go. Thanks to Raj. Thanks to all of you. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of.